Hello, sweet friend. I'm Samantha if you're new around these parts, but I want to welcome all of you to my channel, to my safe little corner of the internet. In this video, I wanted to remake an old video that I did 3 years ago, beginning a spiritual journey and the things that I wish that I knew when I started. However many years ago it is, I don't remember. It was a while ago. This is proof in the pudding for me. To see myself and watch this video from 2019 or whenever it was, to see how different I am to the point where I really don't even align with my voice in this previous video, even my outlook, like I'm a completely different person to this video, and think that that is really what going on any type of awakening journey, spiritual journey. It's about dying and leaving the old versions of ourselves in the past, maybe taking beautiful aspects of that person with us, but reforging ourselves from the ashes, rising again and awakening constantly and moving through things. And so here I am making a new video because I don't align with pink-haired Sam, okay? And 2023 Sam, she's gone through her Saturn return and we are making a new video. So thank you for being here, and I really hope that this video brings you a little bit of comfort, maybe if you're going through these things or you've experienced these things in the past. If you're finding this video and my channel for the first time and just starting out on your spiritual journey, I hope that some of these tips serve you well. I hope that you maybe take them on board or take them with a grain of salt. I don't know, like, do you? There's always someone triggered in the comments like, you should have said this. If you're offended or you get triggered by something that I say, that's totally fine. Just like skip on to the next one, you know? The first tip I want to give to you is around labels. I think it's really easy when we have our spiritual awakening. You know, we wake up, all of a sudden, life feels different. We're realizing there's more to life than what we're experiencing here in the 3D. There's like other realms, there's other things going on. My number one thing I would tell you to do is just do not rush into giving yourself labels. I think that it's so natural when we have these aha moments to want to find a community, find our people, feel like we belong, because for such a long time we maybe felt alone on this path. Sometimes labels are amazing. They make us feel valid and seen and part of a big community. Sometimes they are so toxic, they're limiting, they keep us trapped up in a little box. I know personally, when I first awakened, it was Wicca. That's how I found my spiritual path. I was so excited, you know, to find this pathway, to find a community and like-minded people, but I stuck with that label for so long and I really outgrew the belief system. I grew past it, but I clung on to it so much that it stopped and hindered me from really exploring other avenues, going down different paths. So don't put yourself in a box to the point where you stop exploring. And that goes into tip number 2. Explore, expand, grow. I would encourage you to just keep on learning, keep expanding. Just because you find something that really fits for you and you're like, yes, this is my belief system, I totally love this, it fits me to a T. I really don't think that should be our stopping point. My personal viewpoint on this is, if you're on the spiritual journey, we're all trying to understand the incomprehensible, and no one's ever going to have all the answers to life and to the universe. And so to me, it seems silly to just think that we've found the answers in life and this is it. I think there's always room to grow more. There's always room to expand and to trust your intuition and to grow. Your tail's gonna catch on fire, dude. You tell everybody in my video that you are interrupting and that is naughtiness. We don't want a little ragdoll on fire. No, we do not. No. I don't even remember where I was at. We will be growing and expanding until the day that we die. So this is a lifelong little journey that we are here doing, and there's no rush. You don't have to be anywhere, like take pressure off of yourself. You don't have anywhere to be. There's no test. There's no milestone. There's no award that you get. There's no rush. Take any stress and pressure off of yourself to be at a certain level. It's not a competition. This is a lifelong journey for you and your guides and spirit to go on. and you have your entire life to develop and grow. And maybe there'll be a time in your life where you're busy, you have kids, you're going through a stressful time with your health, or maybe with work, maybe uni, and you're growing in physical areas of your life, and your spiritual journey has to just slow down and not be the central focus of your life. And hey, that's okay. Maybe there'll be a period where your spiritual journey and your quest of enlightenment and getting to know yourself and your guides will be your number one priority. I think personally, balance is always, the best way to go. But don't be hard on yourself if you're not doing anything or you're doing everything. Like, your journey is unique to you. So explore, don't put pressure on yourself, expand, and don't put ourselves in a box. Now, my next tip kind of flows on from this last topic, but it's very different. It's don't rush into friendships and really intense bonds with people just because you have spiritual things in common. Now, let me explain what I mean. I think it's really common for us, again, when we're talking about community and finding people, giving ourselves these labels. If you don't have anyone in your life who's also like sharing in spirituality and all these sorts of things, I think it's really easy for us to like go, oh my God, you have something in common with me, and like magnet towards that person. I think it's amazing to start friendships with people who you have these things in common with. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, be aware that just because you have something in common with somebody, like spirituality, witchcraft, paganism, that you love healing, that you love crystals, whatever, it does not mean that that person's values, that their energy, that their life decisions are going to be in alignment with yours. I have met some of the most toxic people and claim to be very, very spiritual and into healing, and that's, I don't want to be disrespectful or sound like
Samantha is not on her moral high horse.
I just mean people who I bonded with and connected with and really glued to, because I was like, oh my God, we have this in common, especially at the very beginning of my journey when I was my very early 20s. There were a few older women in my life who had been practicing on their path for a while. I magnetized towards them and I really wanted to like connect with them and do moon circles and do all this stuff. And it just became very toxic very quickly. And I realized that I was kind of dedicating all of my energy towards these friendships with people who, outside of the fact that we had this like spiritual thing in common, we were vastly different, that we had vastly different paths. I was really committed to healing myself first. These women were healers and healing other people, but not healing themselves. I think it's just important to have boundaries in place with friendship. I've seen so many people get burnt by, we're soulmates, like I did a past life regression and you were there and we were sisters, and going into like we're twin flames, or we're like soul sisters and meant to be in each other's lives forever. And that all might be true, but it also can lead to disastrous stuff if there's not these boundaries in place. Is it really one of my videos if I don't come through halfway through the editing process like a perfectionist parrot to re-record something? I don't think so, but that's okay. Oh, and by the way, I'm in my little Grimace pajamas, and somebody let me know that Grimace is actually modeled off of an engorged taste bud. I don't know how I feel about that, but anyway, I didn't want to sound like I'm being negative and like don't have friends or don't create friendships with people who say that you're soul bonded or whatever. Not saying that at all. Some of my most treasured friendships have come through my practices of spirituality and having that as a common like basis to build our friendship upon. Take my best friend Ella, who lives in the UK, for example. Her and I, our friendship was literally born of our love of spirituality, and I absolutely think that we're soul sisters. I'm just kind of saying that it is important to remember when people are going through esoterics, like doing readings, doing soul retrievals and shamanic work. Can you see how easy it would be to be manipulative and say like, oh my God, we just have this like soul connection and we're so bonded? Anyone can say that to you. You have to kind of like feel it in your gut. And I just Don't think it's something that's spoken about in too many spiritual spaces, just that these relationships are very easy love bombed or manipulated in as well. That's kind of what I was trying to say. Not like don't make friends and be like, woo, spooky, but just an air of caution. And also, even not that it's sinister, just that sometimes relationships are like situational. You know, we have this thing in common, and so we're friends. It's kind of like when people get mum friends, you know, you have babies, they're around the same age, you become friends. Do you have anything else in common other than that one thing? Maybe not. That's all I'm trying to say. So just have a think about that. Just mull that over. I feel like this video should be called Learning from All the Things That Sam Regrets in the Past. The next little tip I have for you is around figuring out what you believe in. Because sometimes it is actually hard to go like, well, what do I believe in? I remember when I got into Wicca and paganism in general, I literally felt so lost. Like, oh, do I believe? I like the Greek pantheon, but I also kind of believe in like this dualistic, like goddess and god energy. And maybe everything is all just the one thing. Like, I remember just having all of these conflicting thoughts, and like some of my friends that were like into Norse paganism, and some of my other friends that were into like the ancient Egyptian pantheon. And I just had no idea where to go. So my advice to you, if you are feeling that way, like I'm lost, I don't know, I'm being pulled in a million directions, is get your journal out and make sure that you actually physically write it out. It really helps anchor your thoughts that are swirling around everywhere, bring them down into your hand, and then physically start to see them on a piece of paper. When you start to journal about like what you do or don't believe in, sometimes we kind of have to go backwards. Like, well, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that, and that can flush out what you do believe in. Journal all down. Maybe you write, I believe in that there is a universe and I believe in this. And you start to kind of grapple with like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to see the things that I'm drawn to. And then this kind of links into our explore, expand, and grow. You know, look into Christianity, look into Hinduism, into Buddhism, into Taoism, look into paganism and the old ways and shamanic practices. And, you know, if you go and like look at all of these other spiritualities and faiths, you're going to kind of feel in your gut what you are drawn to and what you are repelled from. And that's going to help you kind of navigate this space. It's okay like to be born Christian and raised Christian and then realize that you don't believe in this or that. And I just think that there are signs and there are messages and things that are coming through from our guides that are trying to be like, hello, wake up. Like your guides are grabbing you by the shoulders and being like, I'm sending you 444. I'm sending you feathers all the time and you're not listening. Like I feel like we're just constantly being guided towards that aha moment, that awakening, and maybe you just believe in nothing. I mean, to be quite frank, I work with faces of the divine like Lady Isis, with Hecate, but I also am out here believing that we are all just energy, that we are all one consciousness. Like I just believe in so many random things, and I have like my little Sam perception and then my big soul perception. It is an ever evolving journey, and you are just going to keep on unfolding if you allow yourself to. We can be comfortable in the box, happy in the box, and that's where we stay our entire life. Or we can just keep on growing. You know, we do a little bit of psychedelics. We expand our third eye a little bit more over here. You know, we're just like, woo, expanding out and out and out. That can just be our ever unfolding journey. I'm back. Okay, so my next tip is around navigating the world of New Age spirituality. And this is a tricky one, and hence why I'm re-recording it, because New Age spirituality technically is like my practice, and what I believe in falls under that category. But there also is sides to the New Age world that is very intense and almost like a bit rabbit holey. Some areas are culty, some areas are very like not based in reality. So the tip really is to make sure we are grounding ourselves and our practice and our beliefs. I think it's awesome that there's so much information. There's so many creators. There's so many people who are having awakenings and all these sorts of things. When I went down these really big rabbit holes, when I kind of got into the slippery slope of certain directions that you can go with New Age spirituality, I was very ungrounded. I was kind of almost like in my own little bubble. But my practice really changed when I grounded it and really put one foot back into the past. When I started looking at ancestral wisdom and tapping into a much more ancient type of wisdom versus all of this new, grow, expand, extend. Some of New Age spirituality is very much about detachment and dissociation from kind of the physical reality that we're living in, which I mean is fine for some people. But again, for me personally, as I started looking into folklore, old practices of healing and magic, old wisdom that was kept by grandmothers and grandfathers of the old ways. And I mean, specifically, I'm not Indigenous to Australia, but I have learnt from uncles, aunties, elders, and teachers who are Indigenous about Australia and the land that I'm living and caretaking on as well. And I think that these Indigenous cultures, like, we have to be very careful how we navigate that space. We have to do it respectfully. Some elders and Indigenous people are not going to be open to sharing their wisdom with us, and that's absolutely fine. But then there are plenty who do. And like I said, I have friends who I have been invited into their spaces, or I have taken part in education with them. When you see their practice, which is rooted in their ancestry and their old ways of connecting with the country and with the animals, with the plants, with the earth itself, it really inspired me to dive into my Celtic roots, which is my ancestry. I say it in every video, but I'm like a melting pot between like Ireland, Scotland, a bit of English in there, and you kind of mix that all together, and here we are. But as I've been reconnecting with practices like my doll weaving, things that my grandmothers did, I've almost got a different type of wisdom than when I was on this constant quest for expanding and moving forward and reaching out towards the stars. I kind of came in and wove into myself, if that makes sense, and then got that weaving and put it into the earth even deeper and really focused on this rooted, grounded practice. And I would say there's been so much more things that have flourished in my life since I've done that. And I kind of, in a way, think it's important to have both, like have one foot in the stars, in the other realms, and then have the other foot planted very firmly into the earth. And we become like the magician in the tarot, you know, able to manifest and create and call in all those things that we desire with one in the star and one down in the earth. Okay, so the next thing that I have to share is trust your intuition, trust your gut, but question anything that comes externally. So when you're listening to me, listening to podcasts, listening to TikTok, reading books, watching, you know, a seminar, question it, as in run it through your internal navigation. That is your intuition. That is your gut, your instincts. Don't read something and go like, this is absolutely 100% the way that things are. I would really encourage you to absorb and like learn, but then run it through how you feel. How does it sit with you? Like, and of course we have our own biases, we have our own prejudice, we have our own like point of view and our own ego. But I think there's also this gut element, and it's specifically when somebody's telling you about their religion or about their spirituality and their path. Don't just do things blindly because other people tell you to. And you have to remember, and like, let's be real, there are cults that are alive and well. There are spiritual cults. There are so many things that are so scary, and people who are willing to take advantage of you in the name of spirituality and faith. And I just think it's so important to make sure that you always run it through your intuition, because your intuition is your instincts that are here to keep you alive and safe on this earth. It's also how your spirit guides and your guardian angels, if you would like to call them that, are sending you messages. They're the ones that when you're making a decision that is not in alignment with you, they're like sending the sign. Our guides are there like, stop. The red lights are flashing. Walk away from the cult. Put down the pamphlet. Ask spirit for a sign maybe. That's what I always do. Like, please send me a sign. I make sure I feel comfortable with it, but maybe I just want like an extra confirmation. Maybe I just want something external to kind of, navigate. And even just from a really innocent point of view, my personal experience and the reason why this point was in my last video was literally just to do with Wicca. And I'd read books about like, this is how we do this ritual. This is the expression of the god and the goddess. And this is what we believe. And I was like, I don't believe that. None of that means nothing to me. I don't know nothing about nobody. Like, it just meant nothing to me. That really came from not just doing something because a book told me to do it, questioning everything that I read and like running it through my own processes. And I would just love for you to maybe think about that, take that on board and trust yourself over someone external telling you what to do or this is what you need to do. Like, you do you first and make sure you're listening to your intuition and to your guides. Only a couple more points to go. I would say the next one, it's specifically when I was into witchcraft and I really wasn't looking at my healing journey. I was sort of just concentrating on like witchcraft and spells and magic. I wasn't kind of combining knowledge of like energy, the laws of the universe, and kind of like spiritual practices and healing practices. I kind of was just like, I'm a witch. I do spells. This is what I do. If you're kind of on that path, there's a little suggestion. Look at energy. Look at the Hermetic principles, the laws of the universe, because as a witch, what we are tapping into is energy. We're tapping into the law of attraction. We're tapping into the Hermetic principles, whether we say that or we realize that or not. We are always and have always been manifesting because that is literally the law of the universe. What we put out, it comes back to us, and it's just this constant ebb of flow of energy. So as witches, we're tapping into that. We're using correspondences. We're using the energy of herbs, of the other realms. We're calling in spirit to aid in this manifestation process. So like when you call in a deity to work with them to help your intention or to amplify your spell or your prayer, and you're doing devotional work, all of that is just tapping in to that law of the universe and learning about energy. Absolutely strengthened my practice, and I would just suggest like watching YouTube videos on the Hermetic principles or whatever it might be. Just sometimes your practice as a witch can be so enhanced by learning about things outside of the echo chamber of creators and people talking about like just witchcraft or just paganism or whatever it might be. That is my personal journey with that anyway. And it's funny because I went down this rabbit hole of learning Reiki and energetic healing. I did like 3 different healing modalities. And then it's just so hilarious because 3 years later, I've come full circle, come back to my roots of like witchcraft and wanting to like do spell work and really like nestling into like Sam from 2019, but so much more expanded in my mindset and all of those sorts of things. So, our journey is not like linear in one thing. It can like be a spiral where it like goes out and around and out and around. So yeah, I just wanted to like encourage you to like step outside of your box, outside of your comfort zone, explore, look at things that maybe like the Akashic records and psychic work and mediumship or trance work or shamanism. Like there are so many things that you can look at, that you can dive into, and all of it will help your practice. It will help you as a human being, as long as it's like positive and like actually about helping. But yeah, just go and explore and have fun while you're doing it. Okay, so the last point is kind of interesting because when I first started this channel, I was very light and love, baby. I was very, very, very toxically positive, and it is very cringy to me now when I look back at those videos. I'm like, I'm Lunar Sunflower. Shout outs to those who have been here since the Lunar Sunflower days. But I'm Lunar Sunflower, and this channel is about positivity, light, and love. Love and light, love in light with the body, love and light, love, light, and like, yes, I definitely am here to spread positivity, light from spirit, and unconditional love. But we ain't going to toxically positively glide over things. We're not going to just avoid uncomfortability like we spoke about, in the middle of this, about respecting other people's cultures and getting a bit uncomfortable. Like, we're not going to just gloss over world events. We're going to be grounded, and we are going to see the dark, the ugly, the fucked up, the messed up. And we're also going to see the beautiful and the bright and the light and the positive and the love. I think it's important when we go through our spiritual awakening, often we are going from a dark night of the soul where we've been through some really rough terrain in our life. So when we have these awakenings and we start feeling energy flowing, we start feeling our guides or feeling magic if you're a witchcraft practitioner, it can create these incredible changes in our mood, in our energy. We feel lighter, we feel happier, we feel more positive, and we realize that the energy we put out absolutely comes back to us. But I think that there is kind of like a little slippery slope to toxic positivity, which is just glazing over things in our life and just kind of, I call it like the gratitude band-aid, okay? And I speak from my absolute truth that this is something that I have done for a very long time, okay? I'm not saying it is bad. I'm not saying that people that do this are bad, because again, I have done this for a very, very long time. And I just hope that in sharing this experience with you, just maybe make you have a look and see if you've done this before or if you resonate with this. And if you don't, that's totally fine as well. I'm going to speak from my point of view. When I was doing this gratitude bridge, gratitude band-aid, it involved me being grateful for everything in my life, which is an amazing thing to do, and it can help change your brainwaves and change your perspective and change your outlook. But you have to be very careful that you're not forcing yourself to be grateful for things that are not good for you. To be grateful for boundaries being crossed, mistreatment, being in a situation that you shouldn't be, being in a situation that is unsafe to you, being in a situation that your body is clearly showing you signs that you are not happy, whether that be mental health decline, anxiety, depression, gaining weight, or losing weight and having significant health problems come from these situations. Gratitude band-aid, which is a little term coined by me, or the gratitude bridge, is something that I experienced when I was being grateful for situations that were very detrimental to me. And I forced myself to be like, but it's okay because I'm grateful for this, 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 and this. And I think the prolonging of staying with this situation with my work was gratitude. I was like, but at least I've got this amazing bit. Money's coming in. I'm so grateful for my business though. I'm so grateful for my client. I stayed for years longer than I should have. I should have been realizing, oh, Samantha, look at the state of your life. Look at the state of your mental health. Look at the state of your body. Like, you are clearly not happy. I was telling my husband that I fucking hated my job. I was so over it. But again, in the same sentence, I was gratitude band-aiding it, going like, oh, but I'm so grateful for it. But I'm so lucky to have this business. I'm so lucky to have this job. And look, I know that sometimes we have to stay in these jobs. We have to stay in these relationships. But all I'm saying, and all I'm putting out there, is making sure that toxic positivity and gratitude for things that we probably actually should be looking at and going, I need to sever this cord. I need to end this. Or even if it's not ending it, I am actually really deeply unhappy. My boundaries are being broken. I need to change this. This is something I need to address. This is something I need to look at and be uncomfortable with, run towards it and charge at the problem and change it, and not just be like grateful for the other things, you know, around it. And why I wanted to include this as the last piece is I want to encourage you to not always focus on the light. Sometimes we have to go on our shadow journey because we are not all light. We are not all love. We have ugly, we have hateful, vengeful, vile parts of ourselves. And that's not like a bad thing to say. That's human. Humans can do the most fucked up, disgusting, vile, monstrous things. And we can't just sit here and be like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Like, it does matter. And we have these parts of us that can be hateful, that can be vile and angry and spiteful and jealous and envious and angry. And the analogy that I always use is when we go on our shadow journey and when we start to acknowledge these parts of ourselves, it's like putting the mirror of truth up to yourself. You know, you face the mirror and you start going, oh, like, wow, that is a really intense, dark, toxic part of me, or maybe that's a shadowy aspect that I'm ignoring. Maybe this is an unhealed, you know, trauma from the past, whatever it may be. When we start to look in the mirror of truth, I always think of Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god, you know, that stands at the portal of death and weighs your heart against the feather. And I see that kind of along with this mirror of truth image. It's really about us getting real and not fluffing over, you know, like, oh, I'm Sam. I'm this little witchy person that's all light and love. Like, that's what I used to be like. And now I'm like, I'm Sam. I am a flawed human being, like we all are, who is trying her best and wants to just connect with spirit, help other people connect with spirit. I want to connect with souls all over the world. I want to tell you about the shit stuff that I do and the good stuff that I do. I don't want to be on here being like, I'm this perfect human that has a perfect life. Like, no. That is why there is videos about grief, about my struggles. If you join my Patreon, I'm very, very open and candid about my feelings and feeling overwhelmed or my struggles with mental health, because it is real, guys. We all have egos. We all have shadow and light. We are dualistic, and I think it's just important not to get swept up by creators, spiritual guides on the internet, people in your real life that portray perfection to you, and this idea of like absolute light and positivity all the time. It's not about saying that that's bad. It's just saying that I feel that logic is flawed. My final thought to you is like, take a look at your shadow landscape, and yes, we can absolutely go to the high of highs, but make sure we're also, you know, working on our shadow self. And shadow is a beautiful place to work through. It can be hard, it can be really tricky, uncomfortable, but I guarantee you, when you do your shadow work, you will become the most healed version of yourself. Think about the iceberg, right? The iceberg has the tiny tip at the top, and here's the waterline. Here is the scene of your mind. This is your conscious, like the part of you that you know, the part of you that is comfortable. And that iceberg underneath is the shadow. It is the unconscious part of your mind, where everything that you can't process, everything that goes in, it drips down in the subconscious. It's why it comes out in dreams. It's why often we process our thoughts, our feelings, and our emotions in our dreams, and we have very telling or very transformational dream time. It's because our subconscious mind starts to process while we sleep. And so there is so much there that we can learn from, that we can heal from, if we allow ourselves to kind of dip into the shadow work and not see it as like a scary thing. And like I said at the very beginning, I would love for people to kind of reflect on if they're gratitude band-aiding, because you could be holding on to something, like clinging onto it and not letting it go to change and transmute, because we're scared of that change. We're scared of letting go. That's what it was for me. I was scared to let go of my business that I had built for 8 years. I was terrified of the change, terrified of what was going to happen, the unknown. And so I clutched onto it for all of those years through gratitude and forcing myself to be okay with it because I was too scared to actually let it go and allow it to transmute and to change. And here I am now. I let go of it and I don't practice and do my business the way that it was all those years ago. And I am so much happier, like genuinely happier. Of course, going through like a death and allowing something to die off in our life to be reformed and come back is really scary. But that really goes into this whole like shadow and dark and light, that death is not a bad thing. Like, don't go into this thinking that death is bad, because it's not. Death is a beautiful part of life. And I like to think of it like the forest. The forest has to die away in winter to be reborn in spring. The fire in Australia often has to ravish the bushland and burn up the vegetation as it was for the seeds to sprout. There are many native Australian plants that will not germinate without smoke. So death is a necessary part of our lives. It's just that we have been conditioned to fear it, to run away from it, and to do everything to avoid the change and to avoid the death and the transformation that death brings. So that's my final thought. Like, do not fear these shadowy or these like themes of death, of regeneration, of transformation. Don't fear the tower. Don't fear the death card in the tarot. It's just how we've been conditioned in our culture and in our society to fear that. There is a beauty and magic, like pure magic, in those transformational times. And with all that said and done, we've come to the end of this video. Oh my God, what a journey. For those who have followed all the way to the end, can you please do me a favor and leave a little like emoji down in the comments, because I want to see who got this far through. Like, maybe leave like a little rainbow emoji, or like leave me a little comment and let me know that you got to the end of the video, because I just appreciate sitting through. I haven't edited it, so I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be a long one. Now, I have a brand new series coming on this channel, which I'm very excited about, and it is in relation to witchcraft. So stay very tuned, because I'm filming it like tomorrow and editing it and getting it all perfect. And I'm hoping it's going to be like a 3-weekly kind of like installment series on the channel, but it's very like witchy, gardeny, herby kind of vibes. Just giving you a bit of a sneak peek. Make sure you check out my Patreon, my Instagram, like all my social media links are all down below. I hope that this video has been helpful, giving you some ideas. I've definitely expanded upon it from the first time I filmed it. Look at this little pink-haired girl. She has changed a lot. And I just wanted to add this. I had my little Hernie, my little hunter, in the first video, and I just wanted to put his video right here because I miss him so much. Fantastic to have you here along on this journey with me. This is Hunter, everyone. Their journey, and they do want some help. So why not? What better way than to start a series and just sort of touching maybe in each video on this series, just about little things like building an altar and beginning in meditation and all those sorts of. Can you please get it out? No one wants to see your big dopey face. Oh my God, stop. How cute was he? Oh my God. And I also had a little clip of Monkey when he was a little kitten. Look at how little cute he is. He was like a little naked hair boy. I miss him, like being so little. I would love to hear from you in the comments, like these resonated with you, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for being here. But in every video, I turn the camera off and I say bye, I love you. So bye, I love you.